Hideo Kojima, who is best known for the Metal Gear Solid series, rewrote Death Stranding 2 because too many people liked it. Kojima saw the positive feedback as a red flag. Why would anyone intentionally make a game harder to like? Let's break this down and see why this philosophy of storytelling works. Would you rather experience a story that feels safe or one that makes you think about it for weeks? Salam, my name is Mustafa. I am a game developer. I've worked within the game industry. I've worked at Treyarch during the development of Black Ops 4. I've also worked at Zwift on their indoor cycling game. And I currently work on indie games. One is available on Steam. According to an interview with Rolling Stone, the composer for Death Stranding 2, who goes by Woodkid, has revealed that Kojima rewrote key parts of Death Stranding 2 to provoke discomfort. Kojima said, "I'm going to be very honest. We have been testing the game with players and the results are too good. They like it too much. That means something is wrong. We have to change something," and he changed stuff in the script and the way crucial stuff happens in the game because he thought his work was not polarizing and not triggering enough emotions. Quote, "If everyone likes it, it means it's mainstream. It means it's conventional. It means it's already pre-digested for people to like it. And I don't want that. I want people to end up liking things they didn't like when they first encountered it, because that's where you really end up loving something. And that was really a lesson for me. Not doing stuff to please people, but to make them shift a little bit and move them." And there are people online who are saying that Kojima is intentionally being divisive or he's being pretentious. But I agree with Kojima. He is not chasing applause, he is chasing impact. He wants a lasting impression and a game that will be remembered for years. While there's been lots of games that have been pushing for their messaging, pushing for social politics, there have been so many voices online saying that they don't want to see politics in gaming, that there should be a separation between entertainment and politics. I don't agree with this statement. Audience do not hate difference of opinion, they hate being lectured to. It's not about having a different opinion in politics, it's about how you say it. Kojima has explored tough themes in his games such as war, isolation, tech, labor, but he asks, what does this mean to you, instead of here's what to think. When we compare this to other games like Dragon Age the Veilguard, that literally lectures you about misgendering somebody and then you have to pull a barb to ask for atonement. That's telling you that you're a bad person for thinking a certain way and you have to beg for forgiveness. Or games like Dustborn, that's also social political propaganda and unlocks bullying as a gameplay ability to bully those who disagree with you. This is not how you get people to open their hearts and win them over. This is literally the opposite. This is how you get people to resist and fight back. This is why games like Veilguard and Dustborn feel like HR training. And there are other games that share stronger opinions that aren't as offensive and divisive. So let's take a look at the difference of approach between games like Veilguard and Dustborn and Kojima's games. Kojima's games ask questions. Why do questions work? Because they invite your brain to show up and open up. Questions are engaging and allow the audience to open up. A question gives you room, while on the other hand, when you command somebody or lecture somebody, it gives them pressure. Kojima's games ask, they don't instruct. That's why even the weird moments stick with you. Also, nuance through looking at different angles. Players feel respected when a story presents complexity. Kojima never pretends there's one simple answer. For example, in the first Metal Gear Solid game, the group of antagonists, Foxhound, they're all complex characters with their own background and their own reasoning. Their reasoning aren't exactly all good excuses as to why they're doing the things they're doing, but it makes them understandable. You can see the character and understand why they're doing what they're doing. Players feel respected when a story presents complexity. Kojima never pretends that there's one simple answer. Why is that important? Because the world isn't simple and players know it. Subtlety also leaves a strong mark. When a story is presented through a subtle manner, it allows for the audience to accept it more openly. Rather than being bashed on the head with a hammer, they're not going to accept that. Also, Kojima doesn't write for everyone. He writes from a place of sincerity, not safety. That's what creates a niche following and emotional loyalty. Do you feel it's more interesting when a message challenges your beliefs or just reassures your beliefs? It's not just video games, but it's also in all entertainment. We could take a look at an example of two movies that fit what Kojima's talking about. Tomorrow War was a sci-fi action movie that got good reviews, but it's been forgotten. I'm sure most of you don't even remember that movie. It didn't do anything groundbreaking, and it just became a popcorn flick for the time. Compare that to a movie like District 9. District 9 is not action heavy at all. In fact, it only has one action scene at the very end. It's very slow. It's gritty. It's unsettling. But the key thing about District 9 is it got people thinking. District 9 is a real movie. People are going to remember that for years, maybe even decades. It has a message that gets you thinking. And that's the key difference between District 9 and Tomorrow War. Tomorrow War was trying to be a movie for everybody, and District 9 was trying to be a movie with impact. If you've seen District 9, let me know what you think about that movie. So if being divisive and subversive is good, does that mean you should always make your stories controversial? What happens when you just keep taking it too far? You end up losing the audience. Look at The Last of Us Part 2, for example. It subverted expectations so hard, it alienated the fans. And Neil Druckmann refuses to acknowledge the feedback of the fans. He thinks what he did was right, and anyone who criticizes what he did is wrong. He eliminated characters that were loved, and it was done in a way that was unearned. He gave up emotional buildup for shock value, and he didn't give the audience a reason as to why the players should accept his changes. Kojima did the bait and switch with Metal Gear Solid 2, and a lot of fans did not like playing Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 2. He was very whiny. And it wasn't until Metal Gear Solid 4 in which people came around to liking Raiden. Because Kojima took the feedback and he said, I'm going to make people want to like Raiden. Unlike Neil Druckmann, who said, I'm going to force the players into playing Abby, they're going to like this or they're not real fans. Or there's also shows like Walking Dead or Game of Thrones. They would eliminate characters left and right, especially in the earlier seasons. And it made those shows very interesting because you don't know who's going to survive. But over time, it became predictable. The audience would just ask, okay, who is it this week who's going to get eliminated? And then at a certain point, they would eliminate so many characters that the remaining characters basically had plot armor because they had so few characters left. This ended up breaking trust with the audience. Being bold and subversive isn't enough. You can't just be bold and subversive for the sake of being bold and subversive. Shock needs purpose and subversion needs payoff. Bold storytelling works when it respects the audience investment. Go too far and it feels manipulative. Don't go far enough and it feels forgettable. It's a balancing act of challenging the player but earn their trust. Surprise them, but stay consistent. Subvert expectations, but don't punish people for caring. Kojima walks that line better than most because his weirdness has meaning, not just shock. When do you think a story goes too far in trying to shock or subvert the audience? Nuance and subtlety leads to trust, while preaching and lecturing leads to resentment. People don't need agreement with all opinions. They just need respect. Of course, there's always going to be a small group of people who completely reject differing opinions. But the majority of people will be respectful as long as you are respectful to them. And Kojima understands this. When you're being vanilla and neutral and trying to please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody. You don't get an extreme reaction. There is the possibility that the extreme reaction can be hatred, but that's the risk when you try to get the extreme reaction of love and excitement. And that's what happens when you're willing to risk being disliked. I share my opinions on this channel all the time. I explain to my audience that I'm Muslim, but I don't bash my audience over the head about it. I always try to share my opinions respectfully, and I give reason to it rather than making it a lecture. Share with me in the comments, what game or story did you really love because it got you thinking about the message? Please give the video a like, subscribe, share it with a friend. I really appreciate those of you who are engaging in the comments to help boost the algorithm. I'm getting back to working on Beware Tomorrow. I will give an update very soon. Thank you. Take care. Salam.